What's up everyone, this is Ikai. This is the first in the series of videos I'm shooting to give you an introduction to how to move around in Linux and how to use the command line. So I'll be shooting a lot more of these, including how to use common tools like Vim, SSH, and I'll build on these lessons so that you can really build a proficiency working with the command line and being comfortable not just in a Linux environment, but also other Nix derivatives such as BSD or also Solaris or Mac environments from the command line. So for this lesson, we'll be going over some of the basic ways of getting around. I'm just going to be covering some very basic concepts. You're not going to become an expert from watching this particular video, but you are going to learn some basics so that we can start building on these and in future videos. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you this is the command line. Now, I'm actually not running Ubuntu on this laptop. I'm running Mac. I'm running an Apple laptop, and this is running inside a virtual machine. That's really just a detail, but it's why I can keep this machine so clean so that I don't have my personal files on here. So the first thing that we're going to do is the very first thing that you should always learn, which is ls. And ls is list, and this shows you, what's in the current directory. And you'll see that this is the same thing as if I were to open the home folder in the GUI. So I'm going to click this now, and you'll see that it's just the same things. Except with ls, we can get a little bit more complex. We can learn some more commands. This is very common for people to do ls-al, and this gives us more information such as what the permissions are, and we'll get into permissions in a future video, who owns this file, how large it is, as well as the timestamp on the file. So we're not going to get too much into what a lot of these mean. I just want to show you that you can do this. So the next thing that you want to do is you might want to change directories, right? So right now it's not very interesting if we just stay here in my home directory. So let's go into the documents directory. And to do that, we use a command called cd, change directory. So you'll notice that I can type pretty quickly. I'm not actually typing the word documents that quickly. Once I type doc, I'm hitting tab, and tab on most systems will autocomplete for me. And if it's ambiguous, it'll usually give you a choice, and the more letters you type, the more accurate it's going to be. So now I'm in documents, right? And not all terminals are going to tell you. Like you could see that right here, it shows that I'm in documents, but this isn't the full what we call path of where we are. And the way we find that is by typing pwd. And you could see that the full path of where we are is actually home/ekai/documents. So if I wanted to get back to home/ekai, I can do cd home ekai, and I'm here again. And if I want to get to documents, because I'm in home.ekai, I can look to see what's in this directory, and I can move into it, right? Or I can go into the downloads directory and see what's here. I downloaded Chrome recently. So now that gives me an interesting time to show you something, which is now I'm going to delete this file. And how can I do that? Well, I delete this by using rm, right, and the file name. And I type go, and because I'm in this directory, it autocompletes for me. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And now when I do an ls, it's gone. Okay, so not too much interesting stuff. So again, let's go back to home directory. Now here's a shortcut for getting back to home directory. Just type cd. If you type cd and you don't know which directory you're in, you'll pretty much always go back to home directory. Now let's go ahead and do something a little bit more interesting, which is another way of moving up. Right now you'll see that we're in home ekai documents is type cd ... and this just says go up one level. All right. So now that we can navigate around, I could show you guys a little bit more interesting stuff. But you absolutely need to know this. If you don't know this, you cannot work in a Linux environment. Okay, so let's go back into documents. And I've put a file here called mydocument.txt. Now, here's a new command. It's called cat. And cat lets us, shows us what's in this file. So let's go ahead and type cat and my document. And that's the contents of this file. So I'm going to go back to the GUI over here, open up documents, and I'm going to click open text editor. Now you can always do this in text editor, but it's really important to understand how to use the command line, because you'll over time notice that you are way faster in the command line than you are in any GUI. So there's my document. And if I were to say added text, and save this, Now I'm going to cat it again, and it's going to show me all the text in this command line. Okay, now let's do something a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to show you guys a tool here that's called Grep, right? And Grep is pretty cool because what Grep allows you to do is Grep lets you find files that find all the files that match some text. So if I were to say grep document star, and star in the command line means everything. It's a wildcard. It's a wildcard figure. So if I do this, and this just tells me what this command is saying is use the grep command on the word document on every single file in this directory. And you'll see that there are two documents, but don't worry too much about this. This is a temporary document that the text editor created. So if I close this, that should be gone. It's not for some reason. Let's go ahead and just delete that. We don't really need that file. Now let's run that grep command again. Grep document star, and we found a document. So now let's go ahead and do something. Let's do something interesting here. Let's go ahead and make a copy of this document. So again, what's the name of the document? Let's do an ls, my document.txt, and let's take a look at the timestamp. It's July 29th, and this is the time right now. It's 9:04 is when I created this document. 9:03 is when it was last edited. Excuse me. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy this document. So to copy a document, I'm going to type cp my document, and now let's give it a name, second doc.txt. And if we cat my document, we see what it is, and we cat second doc, we see what's in there. So making this a little bit more interesting, let's go ahead and let's run grep again. And I'm just hitting up on the keyboard because this lets me go through the history of commands I've used. And this tells me all the documents where that text matches. So let's go and open up the text editor again. I'm going back into documents, second doc. Now I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to change this to the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. I'm going to save this. Now let's do grep again, and you'll see that it's in the old one. Really should. Let's delete that. That's a temporary file. I only find it in a document that actually contains that file. So if we look for grep cat, we don't see anything. But if we look for grep dog, we'll see that the word dog appears, and it'll tell us where it appears as well. So that's really nice. All right, now I'm going to show you guys a little bit more advanced features. So one of the really cool things, I'm going to clear this. I'm going to just type into clear about the Linux command line is that you can take the output, and we call this standard output, and of any program that runs in a command line, output it into a file. So what exactly does this mean? Well, let's go ahead and cat my document. Now what will happen if we cat second doc? So we're actually outputting both files, right? So let's say we did this. We wanted to create a new file that had the contents of both of these files. Well, right now this is outputting, again, the standard output. So using this character, which is the greater than character, we call this standard, we're redirecting the output. And we're going to call this file output.txt. Now let's do an ls. You'll see that this is a new file, and it's got a newer timestamp than the other two files. Now let's go ahead and output it. And you'll see that it's got the contents of both the files that I've already created. And if I were to grep this, you can see grep dog star. It finds both the files that have the word dog in them. All right, I'm going to show you guys one more kind of really powerful thing. And this is something we call Unix piping, the pipe character. And this is the character that's above your enter or return key on the right side usually. And it is, you hit shift, and it's usually a slash. So what this character does is, instead of, just like the redirect character might output something to a file, the pipe character outputs the one program to a second program. So what does this mean? Remember this command I showed you, ls-al? Okay, this shows us the current file, everything that's in this directory. Now let's go ahead And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe it into grep, right? And for grep, I'm going to look for the word output, because grep can work to search inside files, but can also search if you don't give it a parameter. Like if I don't give it the star, it just says whatever the output is piped into it, look for that. So let me show you what this means. If I do this, it'll only show me the lines that have the word I looked for, output. So let's do another example. Let's go ahead and type ls-al, and let's pipe into, let's look for the word txt. You see that I don't get all the extra cruft. So this is really nice when, this is one way to look for all the files that have a certain file name. And that's kind of a really fast way of doing this. Now let me show you guys another way of doing this, which is probably the better way, which is if I want to look for all the files here that have txt in the file name, ls*txt. And it shows this to me, and I can pass al as a parameter, and I could see all the files in here that have that in there. So again, this star is very versatile. In fact, it's so versatile that if I were to do this, I'm going to clear this again, ls*doc*, it gives me all the file names that have the word document in them. And if I do ls-l, you see that it's excluded output.txt. So let's if we want to do this, let's do something kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and type this. Let's pipe into grep, and let's just grep for the word my. Now we could have also done this by using this ls, but we're going to build on this a lot more later, and you'll see some more advanced usages of some of these things. So again, this is just an introductory lesson to get your feet wet. Hopefully you're following along. I will list out all these in this video description. So thank you very much, and join me for future lessons.